Hello and welcome to Man's Model Moments. Now, Italeri has been an interesting manufacturer for me for a number of years. They release fairly decent kits at reasonable prices, and often they aren't mind-blowing in terms of detail, but they often covered topics that others didn't, and they also had some interesting cooperations, for example with other companies like Zvezda. In 2023, we now have the upcoming releases from Italeri for this year, so just as I did with Airfix a few weeks ago, I'm going to go through them and see what's what. So as before, I'm going to start with new Toolings that are coming out this year. And I'm going to start at the larger scales and go down to the smaller ones. So we're going to start at 1/12 scale with the Lancia Stratos HF GR4. Now the Lancia Stratos is an interesting car for me. As a small boy seeing the Lancia Stratos, it was a cool car, this kind of small wedge shape. And it still looks pretty cool today, and in its white, green and red livery with those gold wheels, it looks pretty interesting. So 1/12 scale, this is actually quite an interesting kit for me. I'm not normally a car modeler, but the Stratos may just be one that turns my head in the upcoming releases. Next in the same scale we have the McLaren MP4 2C, the Prost Rosberg Formula 1 car. This is a little bit less interesting for me, but I know a lot of people looking at cars, and especially Formula 1, will welcome this. But that's probably one that I'm going to leave by the sidelines. Now going on to large-scale aircraft, in 1/32 scale, we have the MC202 Folgore. Apologies to any Italian viewers at my enunciation there. But this is quite an interesting aircraft as well. The 202 is quite a handsome-looking aircraft. It also has some really nice camouflage schemes. The Italians did some really interesting camouflage schemes in World War II. The 202 was certainly one of those aircraft that got some of those. So I think this is actually quite an interesting aircraft to look at. So I look forward to seeing that release. It's quite an iconic and, as I say, quite handsome Italian aircraft. So we'll have to see exactly what that looks like when it comes out. Next release in 1/32 scale are NATO pilots. Now, Italeri already does a 1/72 set of NATO pilots and ground crew, but in 32nd scale it doesn't have anything. But in 32nd scale it has quite a lot of NATO aircraft, like Tornadoes, the new F-35 that it released. And so a set of NATO pilots makes sense. I think you get 4 in the set. So again, nice to see this as an accompaniment for those of you that want to do dioramas or just have a little bit of added interest to your aircraft. Now stepping down, skipping through 1/48 scale to 1/72 scale, we have the AMX single seat. This is an all-new tooling. The AMX is quite an interesting little aircraft. Again, Italeri generally tend to do fairly reasonably priced kits, so again, not something that I'd normally be sort of really looking forward to, but it could be a nice kit, especially with the kind of improvements in quality that we're seeing from manufacturers like Italeri. The next 1/72 scale kit is the F-35C. Now Italeri already have an F-35A and an F-35B in this scale, released in 2013 and 2019 respectively. They're both around £26, so I expect that this will be about the same price. And the only other option at the moment to have an F-35C without going aftermarket is from Orange Hobby. So this kind of completes their range. They go all the way from the old 2000 moulding X-35, the Joint Strike Fighter project. They also did the X-32. All the way through, and the F-35C completes that 1/72 lineup. And as such, they'll be the only manufacturer that actually has an F-35 in all variants available. Next category is kits which have been reissued with new parts. And we're going to start off very large scale, 1/24 scale, going back to cars and road vehicles, with the Scania S770 4x2, and this is the normal roof version. So Italeri have quite a wide range of trucks. I'm not personally a truck modeler at all, but I think there has been quite a bit of call for this normal roof version of the Scania, so I think people will be quite pleased to see that if you're interested in those modelling subjects. Stepping down a little bit to 1/35 scale, we have the Schnellboot S26/S38. So Italeri already have a Schnellboot in 1/35 scale, but this is the S26 S38 version, so a little bit different from the prior one, hence the new parts. So we'll have to see how that's received. It's going to be a pretty big kit, being a boat. Boats are usually pretty big. In 35th scale, that's going to be pretty massive. Going back to 1/72nd scale on the F-35, we have the F-35A in beast mode. So this obviously includes new parts to have all the weapons and accessories on the pylons. The final category, of course, are reissues. So again, 1/12th scale, we have the F-16 cockpit. So this is a kit that came out quite a while ago, been absent for a while. Again, not something that I have a particular interest in, but I'm sure many will be interested to be able to get that and super detail it and see a little F-16 cockpit on display. In 1/24 scale, we then have a whole bunch of reissued trucks. So I mentioned Italeri are going for this kind of complete, well, maybe not complete, but a wide truck range. So we have the MAN 26-321 4mm6, we have the Scania 142H Canvas, we've got the Freightliner heavy dumper truck, and the Volvo FH16 Globetrotter, the rigid box. So 4 trucks there for truck modelers. I'm sure that'll be good for those of you who didn't manage to get those the first time round. And then in cars, we have the Bugatti Royal Coupe Napoleon. In 1/35th scale then, we go to AFVs. So we have the Carro Armato P40 and the Semaventi L40 47/32. So a couple of Italian World War II AFVs there. Again, they're interesting AFVs. They weren't particularly effective, either of them, I think, in reality. But they make interesting modelling subjects. I've done a couple and they are quite cute. So sticking with World War II, we've got the Panther Aus A. That's being reissued. Stepping to more modern vehicles, we also have the release of the Leopard 1A5. So all of these good for 1/35th scale armour modelers that didn't manage to get those kits in the past. Sometimes you see these things at second-hand stores which can have inflated prices, sometimes not. But this allows you to get ready access to them. Now in 48th scale, we have the reissue of the Wessex UH-5 helicopter. I'm not a big helicopter fan, and the Wessex is not one that I'm particularly interested in, so this one kind of goes under my radar, but I'm sure some people will be glad to see that back. And in 72nd scale, we have the RS-1 Sea Harrier and the AW-101 Merlin, the M3A1 Scout Car, and the Sitkvits 250/3. So in conclusion, a bit of a mixed bag from Italeri. In 2022, which was Italieri's 60th anniversary, we saw some releases like the big scale F-35, which I think was generally pretty well praised as a kit. And Italeri seem certainly to be going on the F-35 big style. As I say, they're the only manufacturer now that will have a full complete range of F-35 from prototype all the way through to A, B and C models. And in a variety of scales, they have F-35s as well. They're also getting some interesting kits. The Folgore I'm looking forward to, or the Folgore, again, apologies for my Italian accent. And the Lancia Stratos, for me, a couple of the interesting ones here. The other stuff, Schnellboot, boats aren't really my thing, so probably won't be picking that up. The F-35A Beast Mode 72nd scale could be quite interesting. I'd quite like to do a Beast Mode F-35, I think that would be quite good. There are quite a few manufacturers now that do F-35s, and an upcoming video I'm thinking of doing is to look at all of the F-35 kits in 72nd scale available and look at which one is the best and the one that represents the best value for money. As I said, I'm not really a big sort of commercial or civil vehicle modeler, so other than the Lancia Stratos, which holds a kind of special place in my heart, the other vehicles don't really interest me, though I'm sure there'll be a big following for a lot of those. And in the 35th scale stuff, I already have quite a few Panthers. The Leopard doesn't really do it for me. The Italian tanks, a little bit more, especially for diorama stuff. That period in North Africa could be quite interesting. And then things like the M3A1 Scout Car, very ubiquitous kind of vehicle, as well as the 250/3. So there's plenty of scope for modelers there. Would I get them? Maybe not. And then in 72nd scale, the Sea Harrier and the Merlin, again. If I came across them at a really good price, I might pick one up out of interest, but not really my particular chosen subjects. So some interesting things there. Again, the AMX is quite an interesting one on the F-35C. It'd be interesting to see what those look like. So there's a decent range here. I think there's a little bit of something for everybody. You know, Italeri are an interesting company, as I said at the beginning, and I'm interested to see how they stepped up their game, because the last kits that I probably bought from them were the SM79, which has some great camouflage schemes available, and that was a really nice kit. So we'll see. We'll see what 2023 brings when they actually release these, but that's kind of my roundup of what's new, what's kind of new, and what's re-released with Italeri, and we'll just have to see what they actually look like in kit form. That's all for this instalment of Man's Model Moments. If you enjoyed the video, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel for more like it, and share this video with others you think would also enjoy it. You can also follow me on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and if you're feeling generous, then I also have a Patreon, which is absolutely the best way of helping me to grow the channel and produce more content like this. With that, I hope you have plenty of modelling moments of your own, and I look forward to welcoming you on the next video.